April, Tuesday afternoon in 2025, a day when the National Assembly is set to resume business after a short recess. And in the highlights in the order of business this afternoon, we have a number of bills as well as motions before the House this afternoon. To just take you through the highlights in the order of business this afternoon, we have a number of constituencies that will be seeking for the House to approve their nominees to the various NGCDF boards. This is a motion by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters National Government Constituencies Development Fund on the nominees to 63 National Government Constituencies Development Fund. In this motion, the Chairperson of NGCDF Committee states that pursuant to the provisions of Section 43, subsection 4 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015, and paragraph 5, subsection 2 and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, the House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the various 63 constituencies committees of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund. This is a motion that has been given priority in the order paper this afternoon for members to approve the nominees, with the 63 constituencies that have had their names before Parliament this afternoon being a number of 7 members all across, with representatives from the adult, youth, as well as women and persons with disability factored in the nomination to serve in the NGCDF boards of various constituencies. But away from that, the Excess Duty Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 7 of the year 2025 by the leader of the majority party is lined up for first reading this afternoon. And so is the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 11 of the year 2025, again by the leader of the majority party. After the first reading of these two bills, the House will consider a motion on the public petition on legal recognition and protection of e-hailing motorcycle riders and delivery personnel. This is a motion by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Transport and Infrastructure. The Chair for the Departmental Committee on Transport is seeking to have the House adopt the report of his committee following its consideration of the public petition number 14 of the year 2024 regarding the legal recognition and protection of e-hailing motorcycle riders and delivery personnel laid on the table of the House on the 20th of February 2025. This is actually a resumption of debate on this motion, which has a balance of about 2 hours for the members of the National Assembly to ventilate on the public petition on hailing, this being e-hailing of motorcycle riders and delivery personnel. The Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bills number 4 of the year 2025 by the Chairperson, Budget and Appropriations Committee is a bill at the second reading, where the members of the National Assembly are set to debate the Division of Revenue Bill. The other agenda before the House is a motion on the state of security in 6 counties of the Northern Rift. These counties being Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet, Turkana County, West Pokot, Samburu, and Laikipia counties. This motion is by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Administration and Internal Security, who is seeking to have the National Assembly adopt the report of the Committee on Administration and Internal Security following the committee's inquiry into the state of security in 6 counties of the North Rift. The committee laid its report on the table of the House on the 13th day of August 2024. The assumption of the Office of President and transition of the Executive Authority Bill, National Assembly Bills number 1 of the year 2025, is a bill lined up for debate this afternoon. The National Assembly is also set to debate the anti-money laundering and combating of terrorism financing laws, this being an amendment to the existing laws on anti-money laundering and combating of terrorism financing. This is National Assembly Bills number 5 of the year 2025 by the leader of the majority party, currently at the second reading, with members of the National Assembly expected to debate the law on anti-money laundering amendment. So allow me to hand over for this live broadcast, presided over by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula. Enjoy your viewing and have a great afternoon.
Waheshimiwa, tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, ambaye kwa hekima na wema wako umetoa nyadhifa za viongozi na mabunge kwa ustawi wa jamii na utawala wa haki wa wanadamu, tukusihi utazame kwa neema nyingi sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita tutekeleze shughuli muhimu za jamhuri yetu. Tunakuomba uteremshie baraka zako sisi tuliokutanika hapa, na tujalie tuyatende na kufikiria mambo yote tutakayofikisha mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili utukufu na sifa zako siendelezwe, na ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao hajazao msikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Sergeant, ring the quorum bell. Osoro, wapi wabunge? When you are the first to come in, nobody comes with you.
Well, the National Assembly has commenced its business this afternoon, and upon the commencement of the business, we have the quorum bell at the National Assembly ringing this afternoon for the House to raise quorum to commence business this afternoon. This directive by the Speaker of the House, Honorable Moses Wetangula, currently presiding over the business, is guided by the House Standing Orders number 34 on matters quorum upon the commencement of business. So this afternoon, as the House resumes business following a short recess, the National Assembly will require at least 50 members of Parliament to be in the chambers this afternoon for the House to commence business this afternoon. So before I handed you over to the National Assembly, I was just taking you through some of the businesses that members of the National Assembly are set to consider this afternoon. So allow me to keep taking you through the highlights in the order paper this afternoon, as we await for a signal from the chamber to ascertain if the House will raise quorum this afternoon. The Learners with Disability Bill, Senate Bills number 4 of the year 2023, is another bill before the House this afternoon, where the National Assembly is set to consider that bill. The other bill that is lined up for debate this afternoon is the Treaty Making and Ratification Amendment Bill. This is bill number 9 of the year 2024 by the Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Matters Justice and Legal Affairs. The members of the National Assembly are set to debate this bill this afternoon. Among the other bills, and we'll be expecting the members to debate the various proposals proposed in this amendment, being an amendment bill seeking to amend the already existing bill, being the treaty making and ratification.
We have quorum now, honorable members. Clerk.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Take the nearest seat, Osoro. Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Take the nearest seat, honorable members. Thank you. Honorable members, I wish to welcome you back to the House from the just concluded short recess. I believe that you had geared up to embark on the legislative, business of the House as we approach the end of the first part of this session. Having said that, honorable members, you recall that by a resolution passed on 13th February 2025, the House resolved that should a published bill become due for first reading during the short or long recess of the fourth session, the Speaker shall, upon determination that the bill is of priority, forthwith refer such a bill to the relevant committee for consideration pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 127, and cause the bill to be read a first time upon its next sitting. Order, Kainan. Order. In this regard, honorable members, I wish to report to the House that during the short recess, 2 bills became due for first reading. The first bill is the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2025, which is sponsored by the leader of the majority party. The bill was published on 6th March 2025 and seeks to amend the Excise Duty Act, Cap 472, by removing the excise duty imposed on imported fully assembled electric transformers. Honorable members, you may recall that the said excise duty was introduced through Tax Laws Amendment Bill 2024 with the aim of supporting local assemblers. However, in the course of implementing the law, it has been determined that the excise duty has occasioned an unintended rise in the cost of manufacture and supply of transformers by increasing the cost of importing parts. The Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2025 therefore seeks to remedy this effect. The second bill is the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2025, also sponsored by the leader of the majority party. The bill was published on 13th March 2025, seeking to amend the Value Added Tax Act, Cap 476, to remove ambiguity in the commencement of exemptions granted before 1st January 2024 on capital goods for the promotion of investment in the manufacturing sector and whose value is not less than 2 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable members, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2025 and the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill 2025 matured on 19th March 2025 and 26th March 2025 respectively. Consequently, and in line with the resolution of the House of 13th February 2025, I refer the bills to the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning for consideration via the notification number 001 and 003 of 2025 respectively. Further, honorable members, in fulfillment of the resolution of the House, you will notice that the bills have been listed for first reading under orders 9 and 10 in today's order paper. I therefore urge the departmental committees on finance and national planning to finalize consideration of the two bills and submit its report to the House to enable the House Business Committee prioritize them for second reading and subsequent stages. The House is accordingly guided. Thank you. Next.
Order number 3, messages.
Members at the bar, take the nearest seats. Honorable members, I have a message from His Excellency the President on nomination of persons for appointment to various state and diplomatic offices. Honorable members, you may recall that by a resolution passed on 13th February 2025, the House ordered that upon receipt of any name of a person nominated for appointment to a state or public office from the President during the short or long recess of the fourth session, the Speaker shall forthwith refer such message to the relevant committee for consideration without having to recall the House and report such fact to the House on resumption. In this regard, honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 42.2, I wish to report to the House that on Tuesday, 24th March and Wednesday, 25th March 2025, being a period during the short recess, I received 2 messages from His Excellency the President seeking approval of persons nominated for appointment to various state and diplomatic offices. Honorable members, in the first message, His Excellency the President conveyed that in exercise of the powers conferred to him by the provisions of Article 155(3) of the Constitution, he had nominated 14 persons for appointment as principal secretaries as hereunder. 1. Dr. Jane Kere Imbunya, State Department for Public Service and Human Capital Development, Minister of Public Service, Human Capital Development and Social Programs. 2. Regina Akoth Ombam, State Department for Trade, Minister of Investments, Trade and Industry. 3. Cyril Odede Wagunda, State Department for Public Investment and Assets Management, the National Treasury and Economic Planning. 4. Dr. Caroline Wanjiru Karugu, State Department for East African Community Affairs, Minister of East African Community Affairs and the ASALs and Regional Development. 5. Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma, State Department for Medical Services, Minister of Health. 6. Mr. Ahmed Abdisalam Ibrahim, State Department for National Government Coordination, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. 7. Judith Nayai Ramaita Pareno, Justice, Human Rights and Constitutional Affairs, Office of the Attorney General and Department of Justice. 8. Dr. Boniface Makoha, State Department for Economic Planning, the National Treasury and Economic Planning. 9. Professor Abdulrazak Shaukat, State Department for Science, Research and Innovation, Minister of Education. 10. Stephen Isaboke, State Department for Broadcasting and Telecommunications, Minister of Information, Communication and Digital Economy. 11. Mr. Michael Lenasalon, State Department for Devolution, Office of the Deputy President. 12. Mr. Fikirini Katoi Kahindi Jacobs, State Department for Youth Affairs, Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports. 13. CPA Karen Agengo Acheng, State Department for Children Welfare Services, Minister of Labor and Social Protection. 14. Mr. Aden Abdi Mila, State Department for Shipping and Maritime Affairs, Minister of Mining, Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs. Honorable members, in the second message, members at the bar, take the nearest seats. The nearest seats. Tongoyo, what is your idea of nearest? Right. Honorable members, in the second message, His Excellency the President notified that in exercise of the powers conferred on him by the provisions of Article 132(2)(e) of the Constitution, he had nominated 4 persons for appointment as ambassador, permanent representative, and consular general as hereunder. 1 as ambassador, Engineer Peter Kiplagat Tum, CBS, to Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. B, permanent representative, Susan Nahumicha Wafula, AGH, permanent mission of Kenya to the United Nations Habitat, Nairobi. Consular General, 1, James Buyekane Mohati, CBS, to Guangzhou, People's Republic of China, and 2, Abdi Dupat Fido, CBS, to Arusha, United Republic of Tanzania. Accordingly, honorable members, by notification numbers 003 and 004 of 2025 issued on 26th March 2025 and 27th March 2025 respectively, I notified all members of the House and the general public of the receipt of the said messages from the President. In the notifications, I refer the messages from His Excellency the President together with the certificate of presidential nominations, curriculum vitae, and other testimonials of the nominees proposed for appointment as principal secretaries to the relevant departmental committees to undertake the necessary approval hearings as follows. Departmental Committee and the nominee. 1, Administration and Internal Security, Ahmed Abdul Salam Ibrahim. Communication, Information and Innovation, Stephen Isaboke. Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Caroline Wanjiru Karugu. Education, Abdul Razak Shaukat. Finance and National Planning, Cyril Wagunda Odede. Justice and Legal Affairs, Judith Nayai Pareno Ramaita. Labor, Dr. Jane Kere Imbunya. Health, Dr. Oluga Frederick Ouma. Regional Development, Michael Lenas Salon. Social Protection, 1, Fikirini Katoi Kahindi Jacobs and CPA Karen Agengo Acheng. Trade, Industry and Cooperatives, Ms. Regina Akoth Ombam. Transport and Infrastructure, Aden Abdi Miller. Honorable members, the committees are expected to have already commenced the necessary approval hearings of the nominees for appointment as principal secretaries referred to them in accordance with the provisions of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F. It's expected that the committees will table their report on or before Tuesday, 22nd April 2025. Honorable members, with respect to the nominees proposed for appointment as ambassador, permanent representative, and consular general, I referred the message from His Excellency the President together with the certificate of presidential nominations, the CVs, and the other testimonials to the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations for consideration. The committee is expected to submit its report by Wednesday, 23rd April 2025, so as to enable the House to consider the matter with the statutory timelines. Musa Sirima and Bowen, you are totally out of order. And Bowen, you are not supposed to be on phone in the chamber, and more particularly when the speaker is on his feet. That is grossly disorderly conduct. Honorable members, I also received a third message on 27th March 2025 from His Excellency the President conveying that in exercise of powers conferred on him by Article 152(2) of the Constitution, he nominates the Honorable Geoffrey K. Kiringa Ruku, MP, for appointment as the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Public Service, Human Capital Development and Special Programs. In the message, His Excellency the President has also nominated Ms. Hannah Wendot Cheptumo for appointment as the Cabinet Secretary and Minister of Gender, Culture, the Arts and Heritage. Honorable members, the President now seeks the approval of the nominees by this House. In this regard and pursuant to the provisions of Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, as read together with Standing Order 423, I hereby refer the third message from the President, together with the CVs of the nominees, to the Committee on Appointments for consideration. Honorable members, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, provides that unless otherwise provided in law, the committee to which such nomination is referred shall consider the matter and table a report in the House within 28 days. In this regard, the Committee on Appointments is expected to immediately commence the approval, hearing, and report back to the House by Thursday, 24th April 2025, to allow consideration by the House within the statutory time. I thank you. Next. Honorable members, before the next order, allow me to recognize a delegation of staff from the Department of Administration of the Parliament of Ghana. I wish to acknowledge the presence of a delegation of 7 staff from the Department of Administration of the Parliament of Ghana sitting in the Speaker's Gallery to observe the House proceedings. Honorable members, the delegation is on a benchmarking visit to share experience on best practices and operations of the administrative processes within the National Assembly. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, I welcome the delegation to the National Assembly and wish them well during their visit. Equally honorable members, in the Speaker's Gallery, I welcome Tembo Girls Secondary School from Sotik, Bomet, Lanet Umoja Junior School from Bahati, Nakuru, and in the public gallery, Kianjuki Junior School from Runyenjes, Embu, Mulot Boys High School from Bomet East, Bomet, Mogotio Little Friends Academy from Mogotio, Baringo. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome the students and their teachers to the House of Parliament. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Hold on, Bayer. Before you lay your papers, the member for Sotik, Ambassador Sigei, has requested me to give him 1 minute to welcome one of the schools that I've mentioned. Go ahead, Sigei.
Mr. Speaker, sir,
not just your school, but all the schools in the gallery.
Most obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for giving me this time to welcome all the students from all the schools in this republic, because they are our visitors, Mr. Speaker. Of special mention, Mr. Speaker, is Tembo Girls, which comes from my constituency. And Mr. Speaker, I want to mention that it's a very good school. It's a school which I was part of the construction when I was in administration. And Mr. Speaker, I want to laud the management of Tembo Secondary School, Tembo Girls, and wish them well. I want to ask the students to know that this house, the house of making the laws of this country, belongs to them. And they are most welcome. Mr. Speaker, on behalf of our fellow members here and people of Sotik, I want to welcome them most warmly. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Majority Leader Owen.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. A, reports of the Auditor General and financial statements of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund, NGCDF, for the year ended 30th June 2025, and the certificates therein in respect of the following 55 constituencies. 1. Awendo. 2. Baringo, Bomachoge, Chache, Chesumei, Eldas, Embakasi East, Embakasi North, Emurua, Dikir, Fafi, 10. Gatundu South, Gem, Gishugu, Githunguri, Isiolo South, Kangundo, Karachuonyo, Kinangop, Kisumu West at 20, Kitutu Chache North. Kwanza, Lafey, Laikipia East, Laikipia North, Laikipia West constituency, Loima constituency, Lugari, Makadara, Mandera South at number 30, Mandera West. Marakwet East, Masinga, Mavoko, Moyale, Mumias East, Mwingi North, Nakuru North Town East, Ndaragwa, Nyakach, Nyali, Nyando, Nyaribari Chache, Nyaribari Masaba, Rangwe, Rongai, Roysambo, Roiro, Samburu East, Samburu West, Sirisia, Teso South, Tinderet, Tarbo, Turkana North, and Nyata at number 55. Honorable Speaker, the Draft Parliamentary Service Center B, the Draft Parliamentary Service Center for Parliamentary Studies and Training Regulations 2024. I thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Next. Chairman, Budget. As you have made an official
Thank you, Honorable
duty
Speaker.
on the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 1st April 2025. A report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the Division of Revenue Bill, National Assembly Bill number 10 of 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Atandi. Chairperson, Committee on National Government Constituency Development Fund, Sirma.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 1st of April, 2025. Report of the Committee on National Government Constituency Development Fund on the nominees to the National Government Constituency Development Fund committees for 63 constituencies. Mr. Speaker, I beg to lay.
Thank you. Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations, Chair. Bashir, you are the Vice Chair, right?
Yes, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 1st April 2025. Reports of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations on the following. 1. Budget implementation oversight for the following financial year 2023-2024 for the following state departments. Vote 1053, State Department for Foreign Affairs. Vote 1054, State Department for Diaspora Affairs. And vote 1221, State Department for East African Community. 2. Its consideration of the ratification of a treaty establishing the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. 3. Inspection visit to Kenyan embassies in the United Arab Emirates and the state of Qatar conducted from 7 to 13 November 2024. And participation in the diaspora mobile consular services. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Leader of the Minority Party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to give notice of motion on extension of the time for recruitment of persons for appointment as the chairpersons and members of the IBC. Aware that by the Gazette Notice number 1901 and 2543, dated 14th February 2023 and 1st March 2023, respectively, His Excellency the President declared one vacancy for the position of the chairperson of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, and 6 vacancies for the position of members of the IEBC. Further aware that by the Gazette Notice number 715 of 27th January 2025, His Excellency the President appointed members of the selection panel for the recruitment of the nominees for appointment as the chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Noting that upon the appointment, the selection committee commenced the recruitment process and long-listed all applicants and subsequently shortlisted qualified applicants for the positions of chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. Further noting that paragraph 6.1 of the first schedule to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act, Cap 7C, provides that the selection panel shall finalize the recruitment exercise within 90 days of its appointment and forward the names of the nominees to the President. Conscious that the selection panel is currently undertaking the interviews of the shortlisted candidates for the positions of chairperson and members of the IEBC, and that given the interview schedule of all shortlisted applicants, the panel has inadequate time to conclude the recruitment process. Further conscious of the need for the selection panel to ensure the recruitment process complies with the constitutional principles of regional balance, representation of the youth, and overall inclusivity, while ensuring that the interviews are conducted as far as practicable within the official working days and hours. Now, therefore, pursuant to the provisions of paragraph 6.2 of the first schedule to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Act, Cap 7C, the House of Parliament resolved to extend the tenure of the selection panel to the recruitment of persons for appointment as chairperson and members of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission for a period of 14 days from 27th April 2025. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Jeanette. Next, Chairperson, NGCDF. Give your notice of motion.
Mr. Speaker, I wish to give the notice of motion. To give notice of the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Committee of the National Government Constituency Development Fund laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st April 2025, pursuant to the provision of Section 43.4 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 414A and paragraphs 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016. Approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 63 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, Ainapkoi constituency, Aldai constituency, Alego Usonga constituency, Bahati, Bamachoge Borabu, Bomet East, Borabu constituency, Budalangi constituency, Bura, Chepalungu, Molo, Chesumei, Embakasi North, Embakasi West, Mgwen constituency, Emuria Digir, Gishugu constituency, Igembe North, Isiolo North, Kaloleni constituency, Keses constituency, Kibwezi East constituency, Kibwezi West constituency, Kieni constituency, Kilgoris constituency, Kiminini constituency, Kinango constituency, Konoin constituency, Langata constituency, Lari, Lukuyani, Limuru, Malava, Mandera South, Marakwet East, Mavoko constituency, Mbere North constituency, Mboni constituency, Mogotio constituency, Soy constituency, Subukia constituency, Tharaka constituency, Tarbo constituency, Westlands constituency, Molo constituency, Mosop constituency, Mwingi West constituency, Narok West constituency, Ndiwa constituency, Njoro constituency, North Imenti constituency, North Hor constituency, North Mugirango constituency, Nyakach constituency, Nyeri Town constituency, Subukia constituency, Pokot South constituency, Rongai constituency, Ruaraka constituency, Ruiru constituency, Sigawet Soin constituency, Suba South constituency, Tetu constituency, Tinderet constituency, and Voi constituency. Mr. Speaker, I beg the House to approve these names which are appended on the order paper today so that we can be able to, which is listed, the various names on the order paper, Mr. Speaker, so that we can be able to operationalize the Constituency Development Fund in the various constituencies.
Sirma,
yes.
When you give a notice of motion,
yes,
you simply read what the motion says,
okay,
and you end up there.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations.
Honorable Speaker, I have 4 notices of motion. Notice of motion: ratification of the treaty establishing Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Development Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on its consideration of the treaty establishing the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st April 2025, and pursuant to the provision of Section 8(4) of the Treaty Making Ratification Act 2012, approves the ratification of the treaty establishing the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. 2, notice of motion: inspection visit to Kenyan embassies in the United Arab Emirates and the State of Qatar. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on inspection visit to Kenyan embassies in the United Arab Emirates and the State of Qatar, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st April 2025. Participation in the Diaspora Mobile Consular Services. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on its participation in the Diaspora Mobile Consular Services exercise in Texas, USA, laid on the table of the House Tuesday, 1st April 2025. I have one more left, Honorable Speaker.
Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion: that this House adopts the report of the Development Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations on budget implementation monitoring for the financial year 2023-2024 for the following state departments, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 1st April 2025. 1. Vote 1053, State Department for Foreign Affairs. Vote 1054, State Department for Diaspora Affairs. And vote 1221, State Department for East African Community. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Bashir. Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44.2a, I rise to give the following statements on behalf of the House Business Committee, which met today, Tuesday, 1st April 2024, to prioritize business for consideration during the week. Honorable Speaker, from the onset, allow me to officially welcome members back from the short recess. I trust that members are well rejuvenated and ready for this new session. As we embark on the business ahead of us, Honorable Speaker, we still have a significant number of good legislative proposals, bills and other statutory instruments that most certainly need our keen attention. Therefore, the collective effort of every member and every committee is critical for the realization of our constitutional mandate bestowed upon us by the people of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, as members may recall, before we went on recess, I undertook to schedule the appearance of cabinet secretaries before this House to reply to members' questions and provide reports. In this regard, I wish to convey that in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 42A 5 and 6, the Cabinet Secretary for Interior and National Administration, the Honorable Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen, is scheduled to appear before the House during the afternoon sitting of tomorrow, Wednesday, 2nd April 2025, to respond to questions as follows. So, Honorable Speaker, the following and members, the following questions will be replied to tomorrow by the Honorable Onesmus Kipchumba Murkomen, the CS for Interior National Administration. Question by private notice number 005-2025 by the member for Tiati, the Honorable William Kamket, MP, regarding reviewing academic and other qualifications for the appointment of chiefs and assistant chiefs in marginal areas in the country. Question number 6 of 2025 by the member for Tiati, again, the Honorable William Kamket, MP, regarding actions taken by the ministry against police officers who were involved in the incident that led to indiscriminately shooting of cows belonging to Mr. Tesio Chepande of ID number 34184906 in Lemuyek Village, Chemuro sublocation. Question number 7, Honorable Speaker, by the member for Bumula, the Honorable Wanami Wamboka, MP, regarding the reports on funds the government has spent to acquire and implement the electronic travel authorization, the FTA, the ETA system. Question number 26, 2025, by the member for Kilome, the Honorable Thaddeus Nzambia, MP, regarding the criteria used to gazette Nzai sublocation in Makueni constituency via Gazette Notice number 17 of 2024, contrary to the agreement made by the community to retain Nzai sublocation in Kilome constituency. Question number 27 of 2025 by the member for Kuresoi South, the Honorable Joseph Tonui, MP, regarding status reports on the operationalization of the administrative units in Kuresoi South constituency. Question number 28 of 2025 by the member for Isiolo, the Honorable Mumina Bonaya, MP, regarding update on the operationalization of newly created administrative units in Isiolo County that were gazetted in March 2022. Question number 29 of 2025 by the member for Kabondo Kasipul, the Honorable Eve Obare, MP, regarding the measures taken by the ministry to enhance safety and security of residents in Kabondo Kasipul constituency. Question number 30 of 2025 by the member for Gilgil, the Honorable Martha Wangari, CBS MP, regarding provisions of a detailed report on the status of investigation into the death of Mr. Justice Ekimomor Omolo. Question number 31 of 2025 by the member for Nyaribari Masaba, the Honorable Daniel Manduku, MP, regarding status of gazettement and deployment of security personnel to Ichuni Police Station in Ichuni Ward, Nyaribari Masaba constituency. Honorable Speaker, question number 32, 2025, by the member for Mwatate, the Honorable Peter Mbogo, MP, regarding status of investigations into the incidents of security within Sagala Ward in Taita Taveta County. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, question number 33, 2025, by the member for Matungu, the Honorable Peter Nabulindo, MP, regarding status of the investigations into the insecurity incidences reported in Matungu constituency. Honorable Speaker, I urge members, Mr. Honorable Speaker, members whose questions are listed for reply to avail themselves in the House tomorrow to ask their questions. Members whose questions have been listed, please avail yourselves tomorrow so that your questions can be replied to. Honorable Speaker, I now wish to lay this statement on the table of the House today. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Awen Baya. Next order.
Order number 8, motion. Nominees to 60 3 National Government Constituency Development Fund committees.
Musa Sirma. Now, when you move your motion, after you get to the word fund, on the last line, you are not obligated to read all the 63 constituencies plus the names. Simply say, of the 63 constituencies and the list there as shown on the order paper.
Thank you.
It will be understood. Go ahead now and move your motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for the guidance. Mr. Speaker, I wish to move that pursuant to the provision of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraphs 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approved the list of nominees for appointment to the following 63 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, the names of the various constituencies are appended on the order paper from constituency number 1 of Ainapkoi constituency to Westlands constituency, which is the 63 constituency as per the order paper. Mr. Speaker, these names are necessary for the operationalization of the National Government Constituency Fund, and especially, Mr. Speaker, that we have given the NGCDF board has released some money which are meant for the bursaries, Mr. Speaker. And yet it is not sufficient, but of course you cannot operationalize the same because we lack signatories to these funds because the term for the previous committees have expired, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I know members are having it difficult, and especially the funds, CDFCs in the various constituencies, in terms of paying of bursaries to the students. Mr. Speaker, the amount of money we have received so far is only 14 billion out of the 54 billion we expect to receive this year. And yet we are in the final quarter of disbursement, Mr. Speaker. It is time that the National Treasury releases the balance of this money so that development can go on. We have various classes, especially for grade 9, and also preparation for the next year's grade 10 in the various secondary schools to expand them, Mr. Speaker, that unless this money is released timely and to be able to support the various educational needs in the various constituencies, the emergency needs, Mr. Speaker, especially now there are rains, roofs are leaking, toilets are sinking, and all the other infrastructure which require to be supported by this fund, Mr. Speaker. We need National Treasury to look at it and be able to give us enough funding to be able to disperse to every constituency. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move.
Who is seconding you?
Seconded by Honorable, let me ask Murugara, the chair of Legal Committee.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to second the motion that this House does approve the various committees that are set out in the order paper so that every constituency amongst the 63 now has a functional NGCDF committee and its functions can proceed and mandate is actually discharged. With those remarks, I beg to second.
Members on their feet, take your seats. Naisula, take your seat. Honourable members, I now propose the question at order number 8, which is that pursuant to the provisions of Section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraphs 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituencies Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approves the list of nominees for appointment to the following 63 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. The list of the constituencies and the nominees is appended to the order paper herein. I put the question. Honourable members, I now put the question at order number 8, which is that pursuant to the provisions of section 43(4) of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Act 2015 and paragraphs 5, 2, and 10 of the National Government Constituency Development Fund Regulations 2016, this House approved the list of nominees for appointment to the following 63 constituency committees of the National Government Constituency Development Fund. The list of constituencies and nominees being appended to the order paper herein. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next.
Order number 9, the Excise Duty Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 7 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Excise Duty Act and for connected purposes. Order number 10, the Value Added Tax Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 11 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of Parliament to amend the Value Added Tax Act and for connected purposes. Order number 11, motion, public petition on legal recognition and protection of e-hailing motorcycle riders and delivery personnel, resumption of debate.
Who was on the floor? Yes, Okello, what is it?
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I may have inadvertently lost the thread of events because I was waiting for questions and statements. But Honorable Speaker, due to your indulgence, Honorable Speaker, I thank you. It will be 11th time, Honorable Speaker, if you will give a classification of hardship areas.
Take your seat.
All right.
You have overflowed that issue. Take your seat.
Thank you.
Majority Leader, in the course of this week, ensure that you bring a response or a statement on the criteria for classification of areas of various parts of this country as hardship areas. Jared Okello, the member for Ahero, has been flogging this issue, and member for Nyando. Ahero is your headquarter. Yes, and many other members have been raising similar issues, including the distinguished lady from Gilgil, Mwashako from Tavet, from Undanyi, Katana from Ganze, and many, many members. So are you able to bring the statement on a report on Thursday? Better still, Honorable Owen Bayer, the minister responsible for classification of hardship areas, is appearing here tomorrow afternoon to answer questions that you have listed. If you are able to communicate to him that the House anticipates also a statement on this classification, I can give him an opportunity to appraise the House on the criteria used. Yes, Wanjala. Just hold. Get a mic, Wanjala.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the same, when they classify a place as a hardship area, they have been discriminatory. They have been discriminatory to other government officers, and they have only been paying teachers. Yet the same government officers, the police, the other government officers, the agricultural officers, the DCCs, the assistant chiefs, and so on, also work in the same areas. So would you also tell us, the House, that actually they will pay any government officer hardship allowance within that area, not only teachers?
Panjala, it will be very dangerous for the country to go that route. Is there any place that can be classified as a hardship for a policeman? Their duty is to work everywhere and protect people. Or a DC. Unless you want to declare everywhere hardship. I will not encourage that. Yes, Gisairo? Did I see you raise your hand?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, it was not on this issue.
Or something different?
Yes, because I was...
So take your seat. Yes, yes, Chepalungu. Honorable Mandazi.
Yes, thank you, Speaker. While I appreciate the report that will be brought by the Leader of Majority on Thursday, I equally want to put myself. I had done a petition, and I would wish maybe that we get to know how far the petition has gone.
On the same issue?
Yes, on the same issue.
Mwashako? Give Honorable Mwashako the mic.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just wanted to praise the House that this House approved a petition to make Undanyi, Taveta, and parts of Mwatate constituency to be hardship for our teachers. After this House approved, Honorable Speaker, I'm expecting the Minister who is coming in tomorrow to, if not to declare any other place hardship, at least declare the one that this House had approved, Honorable Speaker.
Mwashako.
Thank you.
Your constituency is one of the greenest and most beautiful parts of this country. Is it hardship, really?
And that is the misnomer around this issue, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
We did a petition, and the TSC and an interministerial team visited Taita Taveta.
Yes.
And particularly my constituency. 40% of my constituency happens to be the highlands.
Yes.
That receives moderate rainfall. But the 60% of my constituency is extremely hardship. And not only hardship, Honorable Speaker, we are the worst in terms of human-wildlife conflicts, claims and challenges and killings, Honorable Speaker. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, it can deceive when you come to Undanyi town and imagine that the constituency is evergreen. It's only a fraction.
Yes.
And then, Honorable Speaker, if you allow me to add, there are parts of Mwatate, I agree with Honorable Wanjala, to the extent that sometimes they will take a constituency to be hardship and leave out just a zone, a small fraction of that constituency, and this creates an imbalance where no teacher wants to work in that area, Honorable Speaker. And I'm talking about Ronge zone in Mwatate constituency. And that's why I, as the Minister comes, Honorable Speaker, and I truly want to beseech you to support Taita Taveta, that's Mwatate, Ronge, Undanyi and Taveta, because this House pronounced itself in last term that those areas require to be hardship for our teachers. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Katana. Give to Katana. Next to you, yes.
Asante Bwana Spika. Kwanza nataka nisaishe, mimi ni mbunge wa Kaloleni na si Ganze. Ganze yuko hapa. Bwana Spika, mwaka jana niliuliza swali kuhusu mambo ya sehemu ambazo ziko na ugumu, na ukatoa mwelekeo wakati huo, ukamwambia kiongozi wa wengi aweze kuleta majibu. Sasa imefika Bwana Spika, ni zaidi ya miezi 6 tangu useme maneno hayo, kwa sababu ukiangalia jirani yangu Ganze imesajiliwa kama sehemu ambayo ni ngumu zaidi, na Ganze na Kaloleni wanapata shida zile zile ambazo watu wa Ganze wanapata. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, kiongozi wa wengi ajue kwamba kuna watu alichukulia swala hilo umuhimu zaidi, kwa sababu kuna watu wetu wengi ambao wanaumia, haswa sehemu za Kayafungo, Mwanamwinga na Mariakani na Kaloleni ward. Asante Bwana Spika.
Tende Mwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as much as my colleagues are more concerned about the hardship areas, I think it's prudent that we don't preempt or try to coach the minister on what the minister should tell us. So we leave it at that. We move to the next order and we listen to the minister tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Yes, Hassan. Thank you, Tindi, for helping the chair. Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I fully agree with you that, in fact, this has been overstretched in the fact that there are some really troubled places which staff need some support. There are arid areas that need some help. But to be honest, I find that in this House we're getting a bit greedy in the sense that places, beautiful places like Taita Taveta are demanding to be included in this category, and many other places. Let's be fair to underdeveloped areas of our country that really need support in that sense, rather than overstretching ourselves to include every district in our country.
Chonga.
Thank you.
Thank you, Speaker. This subject is very interesting, Mr. Speaker. As much as you can see that Taita Taveta is green, I'm very sure Kwale there is very dry. The challenge comes in, and I'm actually a victim of this. The challenge comes in that most teachers like to be transferred to the hardship areas. So it leaves the greener area very much vulnerable. You find performance in the areas where it's green is vulnerable because there are no sufficient teachers, there are no sufficient facilities. All the teachers are moving to the hardship areas. This is a matter that needs to be addressed. It has highly affected Kilifi South in a big way. So I think as we wait for this, for the minister to come and address this issue, we actually need to take it as a parliament to address that so that some areas are not left as enclaves. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Kainan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the term hardship and hardship allowance has been abused over the years. Speaker, can I request for your protection from my good neighbor here? Mr. Speaker, I say the term hardship and hardship allowance has been abused, just like sessional paper number 10 of 1965 has been abused. It is the high time that we think out of the box and accept the reality that Kenya is a country of diverse environmental, climatic conditions, Mr. Speaker. And this reality, once it sinks, just like right now what is happening to equalization. Mr. Speaker, you are a renowned constitutional lawyer. I want you just to reflect on these abuses and clamor for every area to be defined as a hardship area and everybody to get hardship allowance vis-a-vis what has happened to equalization. Then when shall we have a country united by its diversity? Mr. Speaker, as the minister comes, I want to plead. Let's bring this thing to an end once and for all. You remember, Mr. Speaker, over the last few years, the issue of teachers and posting of teachers actually to regions in northern Kenya has been abused just because of the allowances or even because of the definition. Isn't it the high time that we as the leadership, in particular members of the National Assembly here, accept that Wajir is different from Baringo, Wajir is different from Laikipia, Laikipia is different from Bungoma, Mombasa is different from Nairobi. This reality must sink in our heads so that we have a country that depends on the strength of its diversity, the diversity of the people, the diversity of its climatic conditions. Mr. Speaker, somebody said, and this is my remark, my concluding remark. If you look at Kenya, Kenya has the 8 wonders of the world. You have regions that are as semi-arid as where we come from. We have coastal region, we have mountainous areas, we have the plainland, we have the Rift Valley. Mr. Speaker, this reality, these regions cannot be the same. So I want to plead with the leadership and whoever is going to bring this answer tomorrow to be firm, to be decisive, and once and for all bring this issue to rest that has been abused. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Go on.
constitution, Mr. Speaker, the current constitution, I remember you are there. One of the things that we fought for, Mr. Speaker, under the current constitution, some people wanted pure presidential system, and you know, others wanted a pure parliamentary system. But for those of us who have suffered as a result of as a result of the old constitution, Mr. Speaker, coined the idea of having devolution, equalization. Devolution, I'm sorry to say, it's not working as expected. Equalization has been abused. The definition of arid and semi-arid areas and these other hardship areas has been abused. Then, when are we going to have a country with equity, a country with the same development of phase, a country that appreciates the uniqueness of every region? Mr. Speaker, under your leadership, and I know you have done a lot. Today, your members maybe are not aware that the Supreme Court, on the issue of NCDF, I don't know whether my good friend here, who is also a seasoned lawyer, is briefing to the Supreme Court decision. Mr. Speaker, that conclusion on the CDF and many other things defines certain things within our governance structure. Mr. Speaker, I want to believe with you under your leadership. Don't leave it to the CSs. Can you guide them to bring this thing to an end once and for all so that there is predictability, there is certainty, and there is a guarantee of what happens to whoever will fall under that definition? I support Mr.
Thank
Speaker.
you, Pareyo. Pareyo, then Maclap.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this issue on the hardship area. I remember last year I brought this issue before this House, that my constituency qualifies to be a hardship area. Why I say so is because teachers are running away from the schools. Because in my neighboring constituencies, they are all beneficiaries of hardship allowances. But in Narok North, we have not had an area that is benefiting for the hardship areas. And when you look at the teachers in that constituency, they really suffer a lot. Because the kilometers they travel, because we have no roads. And when we look at these teachers, when they get to the schools, they have no houses in the schools. So they live in the centers. So the problems they go through are more than what they earn. So I'm asking you, Mr. Speaker, to consider Narok North. And at the same time, I've been waiting for the answer from the minister himself because he came here. I asked that question. I have never gotten a reply to that question. So I stand to say that Narok North qualifies to be a hardship area, and especially when the other neighboring constituencies are benefiting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think from the definition of what the Honorable from Nyando wanted is the criteria onto which this classification is done in the country and how it can be applied. Mr. Speaker, if we define hardship place or an hardship area for hardship allowance as per the degree of hotness or coldness, then we are missing the point. Mr. Speaker, we should actually be defining hardship areas as per availability of road network, electricity, goods and services, movement, transport. We should be looking at even congestion, Mr. Speaker. Even Nairobi here is an hardship area because it is too congested. The cost of living is very expensive. It is an hardship area, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, what I'm looking at is, Mr. Speaker, let us look at the whole country. Today, the cost of living in Kenya is already an hardship for everybody, Mr. Speaker, including where children are born, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, there is critical need to actually apply hardship across the Republic of Kenya so that every person in this country who is facing hardship in any way or the other will be able to benefit, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, this could be a selective injustice to parts of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, if we have to apply hardship in accordance to degree of the sun or hotness and coldness of a place, Mr. Speaker, then we miss the point in the entire country of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we need to fix this matter so that, for example, Mr. Speaker, Baringo is an hardship area. But there is one sub-county called Eldama Ravine, which does not have an hardship area, and yet the neighbors of Elgeyo Marakwet, where it experienced the same degree of coldness like Timbarwa and Elgeyo Marakwet, they get hardship allowance. It is a discrimination. And then now, employees of the government move from that particular area to other areas looking for a better package, Mr. Speaker. So unless we think about Kenya holistically, then we can be able to have something not hardship allowance, but something that can be applied for all civil servants and employees of government across Kenya based on the degree of cost of living and accessibility to the most basic needs of human life. When we do like that, then we can make Kenya equal for all of us, Mr. Speaker. That is the only way we want to bring this thing. Otherwise, it will continue to become an inequality for Kenya and an injustice for part of the country, Mr. Speaker. Let us think broadly. Let us think in a way that it can be able to sort the whole country, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, very soon, we shall classify areas as banditry area, and we need bandit allowance because we suffer from bandit allowance. Others will have Al-Shabaab allowance because there are issues of Al-Shabaab. Let us look at for something that will bring uniformity across the country, and every employee of government, because of the accessibility of the things that I have said, Mr. Speaker, can work for you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of hardship allowance and areas being declared hardship areas may possibly today be termed a historical injustice. It dates back to just days after independence, when the then Minister for Economic Planning and Development, the late Joseph Thomas Boyer, came up with the sessional paper number 1 of 1965. This is where, for the first time, it was proposed that areas that are productive have to get more resources than the areas that are less productive. And to compensate those areas that are less productive, the issue of hardship was introduced. Unfortunately, even as we speak today, if we go by the way we do our budgets, you will find that some counties that are considered to be more productive do get the chunk of our budget, while those that are thought to be less productive get very little. This is unjust. It cannot be protected anymore, and we should be thinking about it. Number 2, you'll find that there are areas declared as hardship, like my constituency, Tharaka, as applies to teachers and the judicial service staff. Next door is a sub-county known as Egambagombe, which is exactly like Tharaka, and yet they do not get hardship allowance. When we look at it across the country, it is unfair, it is unjust, and it should now be equalized so that areas that are hardship, are less productive, are given more resources to catch up with other areas in Kenya so that we have some parity of some sort. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Wangare, very last.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. The reason you see this issue recurring, Mr. Speaker, is because of the mystery that has been surrounding this issue of hardship area. Mr. Speaker, last term, we asked the same questions that we are asking today. First of all, it was even difficult to know who does the classification. In any case, it was taken to TSC. We thought it is the Ministry of Education. Then it was taken back to the Ministry of Interior, Mr. Speaker. Even to know the person in charge was a problem. That is why you see members feeling very jittery, because this is an issue that has been shrouded in mystery, and the ones that are benefiting, Mr. Speaker, do not want the issue opened up. And Mr. Speaker, you cannot say that the Kenya of before devolution is also the same the way it was in the 60s or the 70s, Mr. Speaker. There are areas that were classified as a hardship area that time, and yet today, with devolution and the development that has gone on, are no longer hardship areas, Mr. Speaker. So this mystery is what the CS must declassify, Mr. Speaker. Let us know the parameters that were used. Do they change? And who does the change, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, if you remember, the issue of the Kenya police when we were discussing their housing, it was applied across the country, Mr. Speaker, because some people would look at, say, Gilgil and say it is not a hardship area. But, Mr. Speaker, there is a teacher from Gilgil town who will need 2 hours or more to get to a school, say in Guashati, say in some place called Dogonoi, Mr. Speaker. But what we need from the ministry tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, what are the parameters? Have these parameters changed? And more importantly, what is the periodic review is applied, Mr. Speaker, so that we know how do you qualify? Because what we are having today, Mr. Speaker, is that teachers are moving from any area without a hardship allowance, Mr. Speaker. Those in the hardship allowance area even bribe their way to stay there. So you'll get a teacher staying until they retire because they don't want to be moved from that area. Mr. Speaker, that way then we'll be dealing with the whole country and be able to make a way forward instead of having this issue over and over every parliament, Mr. Speaker. From last term, from 11th parliament, we are still talking about it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Owen Bayer, you hear this, all these cries from various members. And from where I sit, it's a question of poor management. When somebody looks for a public job, be it a teacher, a policeman, they say, I am ready to work anywhere and everywhere. Then now you are crying that they are running away. How can somebody run away from his job without authority? It is a question of management, but tell your minister to come and tell us the criteria of classification of hardship areas. The classic case of Jared Okello. If you know the geography of his area, Ahero is not hardship. Nyakach, which is even a better area than Ahero, is classified as hardship. That's what he has been telling us here. Muhoroni, which is a settlement, very productive agricultural area, is hardship. Ahero, ravaged by floods every year, is not. That is the kind of issue that you should be dealing with. So if you find that your minister will have sufficient time, we'll give him tomorrow to deal with this issue for at least 30 minutes before he goes to the rest of the questions. Unless you have any other idea to give us.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, thank you very much, and I share the sentiments and agree with what is being said, although I can see two different sides. But Honorable Speaker, my thinking is that the Minister for Interior may not be the right person. The Minister for Public Service. Public Service, yes, and...
is it public service?
Yes, public service.
If it's public service...
Yes. So
the designated minister
and the designated minister is here. Probably we will require him to bring the report here immediately is sworn in. But Honorable Speaker, again,
hold on, Owen. There's a point of order from.
Honorable Speaker, what we are talking to now or about now concerns a report that was done by a multi-agency team that was headed by Public Service, Honorable Speaker. Now, the report delved into areas where the hardship is deserving and therefore informed a new gazettement of those areas, Honorable Speaker. So the report had already been done by the multi-agency team, which was actually headed by one Mr. Sylvester Bolo. And the report is with Public Service here. So that is what I have always been agitating for, to be brought before this House for discussion. But I do know and understand that there are many areas that could have been left out in that report, and therefore it will form part of our discussion of that particular report, Honorable Speaker.
Point made.
Yes,
so Owen...
Yeah, what I want to say, Honorable Speaker,
yes.
the Department of Personnel Management within the Ministry of Public Service is actually the right place.
So when do you want to bring the minister here?
Probably if we could plan for him to come next week, I think. But now we don't have a substantive minister in the office. Probably you need to give us time. But also the information I had talked to the previous minister about the same thing.
In the absence of the minister, you can summon the Prime Cabinet Secretary.
Okay.
To come and respond.
All right. So much obliged. We'll write to the Cabinet Secretary, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, to come and respond on the same, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, allow me, hold on, Gisairo, to acknowledge in the public gallery the following institutions. Karatina University students, I believe, from Madira, Nyeri. Ngaihia Comprehensive School from Oljororok, Nyandarua. Kimchulel Kimchul Secondary School from Bomet East Bomet, MCK Wesley Boarding School from South Imenti Meru, Ndamene Junior School from South Imenti Meru. On my behalf and on behalf of the House, we welcome the students and their teachers to the House of Parliament. Yes, Gisairo?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also had expected we're going to have statements, so I wanted to raise at that point. Honorable Speaker, I am following this, following what my chair in the CDF committee has presented here, whereby we've passed a motion and agreeing to the formation of those CDFCs. Honorable Speaker, the reality is we are now in the last quarter of this financial year. While in Naivasha, I remember very well, the CS had promised that he was going to send 7 billion twice in the month of February and then 7 billion on a monthly basis up to the end of the financial year. Honorable Speaker, as we speak up to today, the board has only received 7 billion last year and the second disbursement of 7 billion in the month of February, where he had promised to send double the amount. Honorable Speaker, the members here who representing their CDFCs are not even able to give bursary, yet we are done with term 1. University students, Honorable Speaker, are supposed to collect their exam cards subject to them paying fees, and some of these students rely on bursary from CDF. We are being taken in circles, Honorable Speaker. The financial is coming to an end. I have seen some constituencies, CDFCs, even purporting to take photos that they are launching bursaries just to save themselves from the angry students. But in reality, there is no money going to the universities. There is no money going to the schools. Honorable Speaker, this statement by the CS was made in your presence while you chaired that meeting, and we are not going to allow this House to be taken in wild goose chase in the presence of our chair in that meeting and with our Speaker. Honorable Speaker, can you guide this House? What is the way forward in the matter of disbursing the CDF amounts that are balanced? Out of the 54 billion, they've only remitted 14 billion, and we only have 3 months to go. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Bina Buera, on the same issue?
Yes, Honorable Speaker, the issue raised by Honorable Kizairo is very, very grave. Honorable Speaker, you may not be aware that up to where we are, we have some grade 9 students who do not have classrooms, simply because the CDFCs had budgeted to use the money disbursed this financial year to fill the gap from where KPIL, from the Ministry of Education, was not able to provide funds for. We have grade 9 students who are having classes outside, under trees, in tents in this country. Honorable Speaker, the rains have come. In my constituency, on Sunday, the rain swept off a whole school. I do not have money in CDFC which we can use for emergency purposes. It is unfair for the CS, especially in a meeting where you are chairing yourself, to commit and purport to be that he would release money when in reality he knew very well he was not going to release money. Honorable Speaker, we need your intervention in this matter so that we can serve students in the universities, students in colleges, and students in primary schools who do not have shelter. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Owen Bayer, can you liaise with the ministry and report back to the House on Thursday afternoon on the schedules of disbursement of NGCDF?
Thank you. Much obliged, Honorable Speaker.
Now, we had called out order number 11. I'm told Honorable Kajwang You moved the motion, and Honorable Jematia, who? Honorable Sane is to second.
Honorable Sane will second. Yeah.
Honorable Sane, you are ready? Go ahead to second the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, motorcyclists, commonly referred to as border, are a very important segment of our transport system. Mr. Speaker, borders offer the last mile connectivity. They are the only accessible and cheap mode of transport in the dark and narrow alleys of our cities and all our urban centers. Most of the times, it is motorcycles that are entangled in the bushes and thickets of the countryside, trying to make sure that goods and services and people are delivered to where they are needed most. Mr. Speaker, border offer employment to our youth. Quite a big number of our youth are engaged in motorcycle transport, making a living and serving them as a reliable form of employment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, when the committee met different stakeholders and went through the petition 14 of 24 and interrogated all stakeholders, they found that there are three outstanding issues in the petition. One, lack of recognition in law and by transport network companies, Mr. Speaker, by the
before their installation. 4, the committee to inquire the steps taken by the relevant constituency of the residents of Nyamira County, signed by Senator Okongo Mogeni, Senator